Hello again and welcome back to my channel. I am here again with my parents. And so we did already talk about why we all kind of walked away from organized religion, but we did not talk about why we started our church and just kind of what went into that. I know that people kind of going off and starting their own thing can seem a little crazy or a little presumptuous or whatever, and so I wanted to just take some time to kind of explain how that came about. In the last video about Christianity, my mom did say that her specifically, she had prayed. She did not, I was already out of organized religion at that point, but she was not in a rush, and neither was my dad, to just kind of walk away. And the idea was kind of, God, you lead and you show us, what direction you want to go in, and, we're open. And if you want us to leave, blow those doors wide open. And that's what happened, but we kind of didn't really get into that. So if you want to, either one of you wants to expound a little bit on how that door got blown open.
The church was beginning to struggle with its membership.
And this is our home church. We had been there since I was like 7 years old, I think.
Right. What had happened was...
and this was what, 2019?
Yeah.
Okay, just for the timeline.
the membership started to go down. We were starting to struggle financially. Additionally, I was under censorship, and I had been the head elder at the church for a number of years to provide that leadership. And with me being censored, it, made the church even more unstable. And there came a point where the church wanted me to be reinstated. The pastor made the motion that I be reinstated as the head elder. And at that point, even though we were small, we were trying to find some way to start over. And I need to back up a little bit and just say that I had begun to have some questions about some of the interpretations of not only the foundational doctrine of the church, but, prophetic principles and understanding the book of Revelation. And so, pastors were aware that I had some concerns, but I was very respectful of, the church's teachings. But I was reinstated as an elder, and we were trying to see about, staying together as a company of believers. And we were able to find a buyer for the church. And our hope was that the conference would permit us to sell the church. We owed a balance on a loan, and we hoped that we would be able to retain some of the proceeds from the sale of the church, because what was offered was more than double of what we owed on the loan. And the pastor that we had that was kind of working with the conference on that was reassigned to another district. Another pastor, I was told, not directly by the conference, but by some outside sources, that we were getting another pastor, never came. And we were at a point where something needed to be done. And so the church wanted to stay together, did not want to split up. We later found out, and again, this isn't from the conference itself, that Maranatha was supposed to go to the Highland Park Church and to begin, serving there. And before that communication came, having spoken to you and, just being influenced by your thought about God and God's people and what is to be done at this particular time in Earth's history, I talked to my wife about it, and we thought that that would be the best time to find a place. And so we found a place, ironically, in Highland Park, where we're able to rent from. We didn't go to the Highland Park Seventh-day Adventist Church, but we did find a place to worship in Highland Park. And we officially opened the One Rule Church in November of 2019. And so we've been there for over a year. The membership has been solidified. And I just wanted to say that the One Rule of the church is that we love one another, because it is the highest moral imperative. And what I love about our church is that we experienced the love of God unconditionally firsthand. I, as the person that's leading out at the One Rule Church, was able to experience that with my wife and my children, who not only forgave me, but understood how God was still able to use me in a profound way in spite of my failures and shortcomings. And so with me being the leader of the One Rule Church and having experienced the firsthand unconditional love of God through my wife, and then through my Champ family, and then through the congregation that chose to join us there, the foundation has been laid. I mean, we're transparent. There's no, shut door closets. I mean, everybody is an open book, and we accept everybody for who they are. And we believe that in spite of our flaws, and even in spite of whatever interpretations that we have that are different, we're still one family, unified in pursuit of expressing the love of God unconditionally where we are.
That's that. And just to give a little context about my contributions, because I guess I'm co-founder? Yeah. So I have been wanting to, or had been wanting to, create my own independent ministry since college. But just the idea never fully manifested. And I remember this is like July 2018. I was a few months away from giving birth. And I was talking to my husband just about, some of my ideas. Well, I guess he was my fiance at the time, but talking to him about my ideas. And he was just like, just go ahead and buy some website space and, start a blog or whatever it is that you want to do, but just go for it. And so I bought the space and had come up with, a name for the ministry. I wanted to be called Out of the Ashes Ministry and, all this stuff. But I was having trouble reconciling the broad audience that I wanted to reach with how I was thinking about it. And I had asked one of my friends, I was like, does this sound like super Christian? Because at the time I didn't even consider myself Christian anymore. And he was like, yeah, it sounds super Christian. And so I just kind of and for the life of me, I could not figure out how to conceptualize what I wanted to do. And so I kind of just tabled it and forgot about it. I had my son and then I was busy with that. And so I came home, this is in August of 2019, this was right before our wedding. And I'm talking to my parents about, the things that have been happening with the church. And they were just like, this is what we've been waiting for. We had asked God, for a sign, and, we don't have Maranatha anymore. Everybody wants to stay together. We're just going to start our own thing. And I was like, why don't we do it together? Because I wanted to do this ministry. I can do the online stuff and you guys can do the in-person stuff, and it'll be great. And it was in that conversation where I found the whole agapism piece. And after that, it just kind of clicked. The One Rule Church. It was literally that's it. The most important thing to think about or believe in is love. And that was what I think laid the groundwork for it to be this kind of all-encompassing sort of community where you don't have to subscribe to any one truth or any one belief system or what any one group of people thinks. It's, I think maybe a bit of an experiment in that you do have people from different belief systems and backgrounds coming together as one just to fellowship. And as I was saying in the last video, it's getting the love and the support and the encouragement of a community without having to conform to what any one person or group believes is the truth. Because I think that that's the barrier that organized religion creates. It's, yes, we'll give you this sense of community and this sense of belonging, but it comes at a price. If you come into our community, then you have to believe what we believe. You have to live how we live. And if you don't, we're going to have something to say about it. And if you want to be here, you got to deal. And there's, I don't know, I don't want to, badmouth anyone, but there's just a lot that comes, a lot of damage that can be done as a result of that mindset and that approach, in my opinion. And so I love church, but I loved my church because it was a family, and it was so small that we all, just kind of like really intimately knew each other. And as I was journeying, and as my dad was journeying, as our family was evolving, our church just kind of like, gathered around us, and they never judged us, and the love was always there. And I wanted other people to be able to experience that, and to be able to know that you can come to this community, you can have, all the amazing things that church offers, not just to the person, but for the soul, without the extra stuff. Because I don't like the extra stuff, and they don't like the extra stuff, and our congregation doesn't like the extra stuff. But I feel like in a lot of places you can't go to church without the extra stuff. And so we wanted to just, create a space where you can get all the good of community without the damage or the baggage or the toxicity and dysfunction, no politics. And so, yeah, that was the mindset going in, and I think it's been a successful experiment so far. Like, there are people who I've known for decades, and I'm only 30, but like 2 decades of my life I've known these people, and I think we've learned more about each other in the last year than we did in the last 20 years. And it's because that transparency and that authenticity is not just welcome, but encouraged, and people are empowered to be open and honest about where they're at. And I think we've seen love be transformative. I think you don't have to beat people over the head or try to force them into changing on your timetable in the ways that you think that they need to change. I think if you just love them and give them the support and the encouragement and the tools to seek God for themselves, that the things that need to transform in their lives, God does it. And I think, just leaving room for God to be God, and trusting that God is strong enough and powerful enough and smart enough to be God, and that he doesn't need our help in that regard. And just giving people room to be. And the other thing too is, I think a lot of people fear what they can't understand. And so taking the time to, just kind of unpack what we believe. Because I think you can only learn and grow. You either, when you challenge truth or when you challenge what you think you know, only 2 things can happen. You're either going to become strengthened in what you believe, or you're going to learn and you're going to evolve. And neither of those things is a bad thing. And so taking time just to challenge even the most just basic assumptions, like, is God real? Like, can we go to church and ask that? Like, can you say, like, I don't even know if God exists, or how do we know that God exists? And what do I do with, the intangibility of that question? And just, helping people ask those questions, navigate them, not drawing conclusions for them, but giving them the tools to become strengthened in what they believe, so that they don't have to fear someone else being different, or someone else viewing things differently, or having a different journey. I think that that's the other, amazing part. Like, we have people who are in different places in their journey. But everyone feels loved and accepted, because I don't need you to be where I'm at to feel confident in what God is doing in me. And so, yeah, that's what I like about it, the ability to, I like the fact that I can ask my questions, and we can, there are no assumptions, and we can, work through those things and wrestle with them, and do it in a loving, safe, amicable way, and still be family at the end of it.
I wanted to add this, though, that a lot of times the perception is when you leave the church that you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
And
or you just want to do your own thing.
You just want to do your own thing. And our experience was more of a transition where, even though those things happened the way they happened, we were not angry.
Mm-mm.
We just believed that that's how God opened the doors for us, because he knew we wanted to do exactly what he wanted us to do, but we didn't want to lean to our own understanding. And we still are involved at a level with our previous church.
Yeah.
But
even me.
Right. And there are those who really understand how we transition and know that the love is still real,
Right.
between us. And I know that's nothing but God. And I have a great appreciation for that. But I just wanted to be clear that we don't hold anger. We understand that people handle you the way they believe is the best way to handle you.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add, there was an article published about an interview that Billy Graham had May 31st, 1997 by Dr. Robert Schuller, who at that time was over the Hour of Power broadcast. And Billy Graham was heavily criticized for it because Robert Schuller asked him the question, what is the state of the church? What is the state of Christianity? And Billy Graham's answer was shocking to the Christian world because he said that the body of Christ, the quote-unquote church, is comprised of people of all religions, of all different belief systems, and Christianity, believing itself to be the true religion, was appalled by that answer. But Billy Graham indicated that after 50 years of ministry, traveling the world, that he had gone into tribal communities that had never heard the gospel, had never heard of Jesus, and never had a Bible, already living the highest moral imperative of unconditional love amongst themselves. And so Billy Graham identified Christendom, or the church, I should say, or the body of Christ, as simply a called out people.
And have we had to unlearn some things? We have, because
And we're still unlearning.
yeah, we're still unlearning, because when you're in organized religion, you're so conditioned to have this perception that's given to you, and to think independent of that is a journey in and of itself. But the one thing I love about our church is that I don't care how happy you are when you walk in the door. By the time service is over, you're even more happier than when you walked in. And I have not experienced that on a continuous basis. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that God has shown us in so many ways that this is His church and not our church, and we are His vessels, and He is moving it forward, and we are obedient in whatever He wants us to do. But I don't know how to describe it completely in words, but it is clear that He runs this church.
Yeah. And I think that we take notes from just like our family journey. Because the three of us have our own, we're not in exactly the same place.
Right.
We don't view every issue exactly the same. But I think what our journey, just as a family, has taught us is that if nothing else, we love each other.
Yeah.
And when just like in your spirit and like the depths of your soul that you are loved, then everything else stays in context. Like me and my mom were just kind of like going back and forth yesterday because we kind of do that. But even in that, it's like, this desire to understand, because I think we just communicate differently.
Yeah.
Sometimes our wires get crossed, but it's like we're gonna figure this out, because I love you and you love me, and we have to find some kind of resolution. And I think just because we've experienced so much of it, like our journey as a family has forced us to, really not just love each other, but rest in the love that we have for each other.
Yes.
When you are secure in that, then it empowers you to just be who you are, and to take that journey and to explore and figure it out. And there is no animosity, there is no, and I think that journey facilitates empathy and compassion. I've seen such an evolution in my parents, and that's not to say that they were bad parents before, but an evolution. And they've seen an evolution in me, and in my siblings. And so I think that if you are brave enough to take the journey, because it's scary, And that's just, that's real. It's scary. But if you're brave enough to trust your gut and to go wherever God leads you, and just to take the journey, being able to, one, rest in God's love, but then to find a community of people, whatever that community looks like, who accepts you and loves you and gives you that sense of belonging. And you don't have to be afraid of each other or intimidated by each other's differences or threatened by different journeys. The transformation that can bring about is, I think, life altering. And that's, really all we want for ourselves and for others. If it's because we've journeyed and because we've gone through a lot together, that we want to, just create space for other people to be able to experience that for themselves, and in experiencing it, being able to share that light with the world. So yeah, if you're ever in Detroit post-COVID, whenever that is, come on through. But we do have a YouTube channel. I did a sermon series earlier on in the year during quarantine. I'll link that in the description box below. We have a church website that I will also link in the description box below, where we have thought guides. There's some links to some other ministries, a podcast that I'm a part of. And all of it is under the umbrella of love and just wanting to free people. I think, there's a fear around freedom, and people just kind of being out here doing whatever they want. But I think if you really understand true freedom, you know the responsibility that comes with it. And if you're operating out of a mindset of love, love does no harm to another. And that's why love is the fulfillment of the law. That's why it's the greatest commandment. And so freeing you, but also imbuing you with the responsibility that comes with personal accountability and holding yourself to a higher standard. Because when you know better, you do better, and you can do better, and you don't have to settle for somebody else's standards, when I believe that God has called us to do and be more.
Amen.
So thanks again for watching. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to like it, share it, leave us some comments and tell us what you think, and to subscribe to my channel and the One World Church's YouTube channel. So thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.